You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Hello friends, welcome to episode 39 of Storyteller Conclave. This is a show all about helping you run the best tabletop role-playing game that you can, whether you're a new storyteller or dungeon master learning the craft, or an experienced storyteller looking to take your game up to the next level. I am Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Rob.
See? You like how I did that?
No.
We are...
Don't throw me a curveball right now. I'm fragile.
Hey, we came into this with a curveball thrown at us because our engineer decided tonight to ambush us on the way into the studio with a Nerf gun.
With a Nerf gun.
You're welcome.
Of course, I had to be point for this one.
Yeah.
So
next week, there might be a little change. There might be a little gunfire going on. So
We'll see. I'm here before you.
Oh, no. We also have those other... never mind. We probably won't be able to do it with those other guys. The guys who come in before us.
Oh, they were supposed to be in...
Was that this week?
Oh, so wait, next week is a week?
Okay, so all right, we'll move
you
on.
Just signed your own death warrant.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Bring
a Nerf
it.
death warrant.
Yeah, Knox says water balloons. We're gonna try and keep the studio working, Knox, but we appreciate your moxie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to nix that one. We'll have to save that for like some summer surprises in the parking lot. Everyone bring your ponchos.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's get right into this because we don't have a lot of time.
We have to create an entire story in an hour or 40 minutes or whatever
we decide to squeeze. Where we decide to stop it.
We also have questions tonight, so we'll go from there. Oh God, what did we get ourselves on the hook for here, Rob?
Well, we kind of started with Sam because Sam was the one who kind of opened the door to this discussion a little bit.
Yeah.
And because she wanted to talk about creating a new story and kind of where to go. And she had some great material and everybody stepped in and helped out. But it kind of triggered my mind of like, why don't we try and do this in an hour?
Yeah.
Like right from the ground up, build something. And
we can kind of do it live.
Yeah.
You can kind of see the process, at least,
exactly.
You know, for us, at least.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody's got their own unique process, and by no means is this, the way to do it.
And
but it is
we're going to flat
way.
out say, this isn't our way of doing it either. We literally just came up with this on the fly. Yeah. We're going to set down some ground rules and assumptions we're going to have to begin with this with. I think the ones you had set out were pretty good. So we are going to write a D&D friendly because that's kind of where things were going on the Discord.
Right.
And,
so
to make it a little easier for everybody
for those
to
of you
follow.
who weren't on the Discord and didn't see the conversation unfolding, Samantha is one of our new Patreon members.
Yep.
She's also a new storyteller.
Yep.
I believe she's running her very first D&D game.
I think so.
If I'm correct on that one. And unfortunately, she's not with us in the live chat tonight, so I can't ask her. But there was a discussion that unfolded on the Discord about just creating a story. And she was like, well, I've got this and I've got that, but how do I turn that into a campaign? And a lot of our Discord members jumped in and gave her some really great advice all around. But we kind of wanted to take that because it was a very big discussion, a very big group discussion. Everybody seemed to have a lot of input on it. So we figured it's a great topic to kind of unfold on the air and just see where we could take it. So as this one was kind of for Samantha, we're going to do this for, using her assumptions.
She made it. She's in the car right now.
No way.
All right. Well, welcome,
Samantha.
Sam.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. This is kind of for you, but also for everyone else who's getting started and want to kind of get into this. So, all right. So again, D&D friendly. We're going to hit that off the bat. 2, we will not be writing any NPCs in particular. We're going to be very general about this.
Yes.
Again, we're starting with a framework.
Yes.
Don't hit us on that. That can be pushed on.
Right.
And this is going to be designed out to be a longer campaign in overall. This isn't a one shot that we're planning. Right. I mean, it could be in some designs, but not for us.
I mean, it might only be 5 games, but it's not a one shot.
Yeah, but the idea is that this gives you all the framework you need to kind of get started.
Yeah.
So here we go. It is 7:04.
7:04. All right. Start the clock on this
All
one.
right. First off, what are we doing?
Okay.
What kind of story is this going to be? Are we talking action adventure, mystery, intrigue, political, end of the world, huge heroic? What do we want to do?
All right. So
I'm going to let you set it.
Okay, so we're assuming we're new storyteller here.
Sure.
And let's be. So let's keep our scale a little bit lower.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think an end of the world big heroic thing is going to work out for us as a new storyteller.
Sure. Fair enough.
Because it's too unwieldy.
Sure.
You know?
Okay.
Intrigue political can get overly complicated.
Lots of NPCs, lots of world building to do to make it work right.
Yeah, and
sure.
lots of keeping track of chess pieces.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
Mystery's good.
Okay.
Action adventure's good. So I'm going to narrow it to I eliminated 2. I'm going to put it back to you.
Action adventure is easy.
Yeah.
Mystery can be a little challenging.
Arguably what D&D is built for.
Yeah. So let's do. I'm going to challenge you. We're doing mystery.
Okay, we're doing
All right,
mystery.
we're doing mystery.
All right.
All right. Next.
All right. So what kind of mood are we going for here? Are we going to do like a dark, gritty realism sort of thing? Are we going to do a sort of happy-go-lucky, uplifting, hopeful sort of thing? Since we're doing mystery, do we want to go with something like suspenseful and creepy? Almost verging on maybe a horror story of some sort? I would say verging. We're not going like full Lovecraftian.
It's not common. I don't think that's a very common theme in D&D. I think that most of the time you know what's coming. You kind of get a feel like we're going to go take care of these goblins, or we're going to go handle this, wraith, or we're going to do whatever. I think maybe a mystery suspense might be something different.
Yeah, mystery suspense could be good.
All right. Let's go that route, but I would say let's keep it to suspense and not horror.
Yes.
Let's keep ourselves away from horror.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
we're going to lean heavily on things like plot twists, but they're not necessarily going to be murder, death, kill, awfulness.
Right.
Okay. All right. So what sort of group do we have here?
Apparently we might get we might need to put a mutant turtle in here somewhere. All right.
Oh yeah,
right.
Knox was messaging me earlier in the week, and he's like, "Can you put one of those in?" I'm like, "We're not doing NPCs, man. We're not going to get that.
That's
that
not going to happen." But we'll talk. All right. So So we've got mystery, suspense. Sounds good. All right. Are we doing more social? Are we going to go fighting? Are we going to go player focused? Are we going to go game focused? Are we talking about a grind, or are we going very leisure on this one? Like, let's break each one of those down. Social or fighting?
All right.
How much are we weighing?
I mean, D&D lends itself very well to a fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that suspense mystery lends itself to a fighting game unless you're surprising them with monsters.
Right. Or a lot of it is survival.
Uh-huh.
It's you're dealing with trying to survive through something. Maybe the mystery is, if it's mystery and suspense, maybe you're caught up in something.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good thought. So what? Well, I think maybe what is it? Our mystery is about, because I think.
All right. Well, let's
I
start
feel like we
diving.
maybe need to dwell on that a little bit more
Sure.
before we can kind of figure out the tone and flow of the game.
All right. Let's hit a couple tropey stuff.
Okay.
So we have a mystery. Maybe we're trying to discover what happened. So an investigation.
Sure. Okay.
So you've got that. So people are being sent to an area to investigate it, right?
Here's a trope I particularly like.
Sure.
It's good to get adventurers in on D&D.
Sure.
Is an artifact has been stolen, and a powerful person wants the adventuring party to recover it.
Okay. So recovery. I like that.
Okay.
All
So
right.
in the aftermath of a theft, so we don't know who did it.
Sure.
We don't know where it's been taken. So
Okay.
there's our mystery element.
Sure. And maybe the suspense is that we're not too sure who's trying to stop us.
Right. Or why.
Or why.
Or why
Yeah.
why the artifact was taken, why this particular powerful person, be it a noble or otherwise, cares about it.
No, I like that. Okay. So rich and powerful person wants an artifact back. Maybe not even the person it was stolen from.
Okay.
Maybe it was taken from a guild.
Okay.
So you've got multiple players involved.
And maybe they're some sort of a patron of that
Ooh.
guild, like a rich benefactor.
I like
to
that.
them.
Yeah, because they're interested. A Bruce Wayne kind of character who stands at the shadows but is very happy to support this group.
Okay.
All right.
I like that. that.
Okay. I'll throw a couple pieces in that'll make it even a little more dicey.
Sure.
All right. So maybe the break-in happened at something that was something meaningful to multiple characters. Perhaps it was originally like an orphanage that was given a gift, a powerful gift to help, and that was taken. Something magical, some kind of a mystical artifact. Maybe it was food. Maybe it was like a fount of water, or some kind of something simple.
That could be interesting.
But
yeah.
where it came from is the important part, and that it needs to be retrieved.
Okay.
So maybe an artifact of bountiful food or a font of fresh water, something like that.
Here's the thing is, because what I'm thinking of then is we have to have a motivation for it to have been taken.
Sure.
By our antagonists.
Right.
So you kind of then, if you're going to answer that question of what the MacGuffin actually is,
right,
you then need to ask the question of why is it important to the antagonist. So can you think of a reason why a font of water or a bountiful plate?
It's a simple thing. Maybe, in fact, it was a previous adventurer's item, and it went somewhere, so it has a memory attached to it. The last time it was used by that person or held by that person was in an important place, and it is a marker for where that place is. So it leads to a much larger adventure.
Okay, so that item becomes a key then.
Correct.
The MacGuffin is incidental.
Correct.
Is incidental. Okay.
But you don't know, but again, it's not known.
It's a mystery.
Right. You're not sure,
It's
like
a
the
mystery.
players won't know this information.
Okay.
It's just a rich benefactor looking to get this MacGuffin back.
That's great. That's gold.
Okay.
That's
All
why I
right.
love
So
talking with you.
all right. So we've got a mystery.
All right.
We've got suspense involved.
And I like the idea of the bountiful plate, so I want it to be that.
Okay, so it's a bountiful plate,
Yes.
cornucopia. We'll call it a cornucopia.
The cornucopia. Good.
Yeah,
good,
that
good,
way it's
good,
kind of it's a unique object. At the same time, you can reach into it and it always presents food.
Yes.
Or you can dump it out and it'll dump, X number of food.
Yes.
It is not, particularly appealing to a specific diet or anything like that. It is just nutritious food, be it like good berry kind of quality things.
It will get you through the day.
Yep.
It will meet your needs.
Yep. So anything that anyone could create, I mean, it's a mystical item, probably not that rare.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, which might lend itself to a wizard character might know, like, why
didn't they just go out to the 7-Eleven and buy one?
Right. And so, and that becomes a whole question. We don't need to get in that in just a moment, but it's a good start point to that.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
So I'm thinking we might have a little social and a little fighting. I think it's going to be a balance.
Yeah.
Depending on how the players take it.
Because as the plot reveals what the antagonists are really after.
Never any jar of mayo. I like that, Knox.
Oh, God, no, that's a Critical Role reference.
Okay. So, all right. So we've got that. So, player focus or game focused? So at this point, I think we have, are we taking our character stories and incorporating them into this? And I'm thinking if we do that, they're going to create some of the other entities. So maybe if a player is a part of a fighter's guild, like that's in their history, or maybe they were an old warrior, that they may have a player that's involved in the process, right?
I think backstories are always going to be important to integrate them into the game world, but I think this is definitely going to be a very game focused thing. I don't think we're going to be focusing a lot on players' individual backstories because I think it would throw too many red herrings into the plot.
Fair enough. All right, grind or leisure?
I always go with leisure.
Okay.
I don't enjoy grind personally.
Okay.
And this question is are we doing like a number crunchy game? Especially if we're not going to go combat heavy.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no need for so much number crunchy, grindy, min maxy.
Okay, fair enough.
Stuff.
All right, so leisure.
Yeah.
All right. All right, here we go. We hit our wheel. The important part. I love this part. This is the part that's going to take us the most amount of time.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think we're going to be revising a lot as we move around it.
I wish I brought a scrap piece of paper. I really wish I had like a pad and paper.
Does our engineer
right
have the
now.
possibility of getting us paper and pen? Oh my God, she's amazing.
Because we walked in here completely unprepared.
We
Thank
can
you,
still,
Caitlin. We love you.
We can totally do this still. We can keep moving this. All right.
We do. She's wonderful.
So let's start at the basics of the story wheel. We're doing this in macro.
Sure.
So we don't need individual pieces.
Sure.
So we have our protagonists. We don't necessarily know who they are, but that is irrelevant. They are
not
they're
entirely.
a team of individuals.
Because it could be relevant to the story.
I think in the micro it can be, but I think in the macro it shouldn't matter.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, even if they are an established like adventurers guild,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They're literally a hired team. Again,
hired
think
team.
think Shadowrun design.
Yeah.
Hired team doesn't matter.
Okay,
they have
Shadowrun.
qualities that move us into this process.
Sure.
But other than that, we don't care. We
Okay.
really don't care. Okay.
Okay.
What do they need?
Okay.
We need to get to their needs. Something that isn't right about the need. So I would say that they need to find the cornucopia.
They need to find the cornucopia, yes.
So simple, right off the bat, we have our opening. Easy enough. You're finding the cornucopia.
Yep.
Their go. What is the cross of the threshold? Where do we start that threshold break? My thought is that they're going to discover that they need to their break point is going to be figuring out who took it. Not necessarily the direct who, but the immediate who. Which would leave them toward a direction. So let's think about that for a second. So who took the cornucopia? Are we thinking that the cornucopia has a significance to a specific individual and they just happen to get it before everyone else, like before a group of other individuals found out about it? Or is it more of a situation where we have there we go. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Caitlin. You're amazing.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Or do we have a situation where it was a specific person who took it and now other people know?
Run that one past me again. I'm sorry.
So, okay, so
I
we
was
have
posting
the
the wheel to the Discord chat so everybody else can
that's
can follow
fantastic.
along
Well
with us.
done. So again, we have our group. We really don't care who the group is.
All right.
Our need is the cornucopia.
Okay.
So we're stepping into looking into that. So they need to find the cornucopia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all writing here. For
Need corn.
Yes,
Gotcha.
we need the corn. What is their cross? What is their go? What is going to push them in a direction?
Okay, so
Is their go money? Is their go they discover who it is very quickly, like who the initial thief was, and they have a lead on it?
PCs are intelligent, typically, and I'm gonna give a little credit to the group here,
Okay.
and maybe the storyteller might need to nudge this one a little bit, but I think the go, because we are running a suspense story,
Sure.
should be the incongruity of of things not adding up.
Okay.
So you've got this powerful noble who seems very invested in getting this orphanage's cornucopia back.
Okay.
Which is not even an uncommon magic item.
No, I mean it's unique for an orphanage, but
That's been expertly stolen, with maybe there's some other clues that are left at the scene and such like that.
was someone killed over it? I mean, that definitely would add weight to it.
Maybe, but I wonder if someone was just maybe injured, like a guard, and maybe he caught a glimpse of his attacker, and they can go and see him, and
I would say not a guard. Perhaps it was the old lady herself who runs it.
Okay.
That she was injured because again, her vision might be a little off from everyone else's. She's older. She may not have gotten a full view of whoever it was, but at the same time, she has a detail that again doesn't add up.
Right.
Something specific.
It's the importance of this particular cornucopia is just not going to add up, and I think even if the storyteller needs to kind of say, hey, make a wisdom check or make an insight roll or an investigation check for me, and nudge the players in the way that says maybe something isn't adding up here. Why is this noble and so invested in this random artifact at at an orphanage?
Sure. Okay.
Because being that this is a suspense story,
Okay.
I think that should be our motivator.
All right. I like that. Okay. So then we move on to the search. Okay, their discovery mode. I think this could include any number of details from multiple groups. It could be using their own contacts. It could be leads that they're getting from the investigation information. It can be, discovery of a trail. Depending on what kind of characters. I think this is where your character backgrounds and skill sets come in of why they're there.
Right.
So this really is this is really character heavy. So this is character heavy on skills.
Yep.
So depending on what you're going to lean toward there will open up, how they discover where the MacGuffin was taken, right? So then we step into the find. So now they've got their information set. They're pretty certain that they know where to find said object.
Right.
Or
Maybe
the thief.
vaguely who took it.
Right.
And
So
it might be as vague as like the Thieves Guild.
you ready?
Or something like that.
So who took it? Now we're writing
okay,
this.
Now we need to come up with this.
So my thought is this. So we know that the cornucopia is important because it is a marker, either informationally based on like a read object. Maybe the last time that individual used it, it paints a picture of where they were.
Right.
It holds a memory, if you will.
Okay.
So that shows the location of something else. So what is important about the cornucopia for that specific purpose? Is the guy who gave it up as his like willed item to whoever a partner of the rich guy? And his interest in it is basically that he knows this other group is looking for it and he's concerned. He actually has a positive outlook on this because he doesn't want them to find out that what happened there, or did something happen? Maybe this is about a previous adventuring group that maybe had a nefarious end that wasn't right.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking.
All right. Because I'll give you my whole thought if you want me to finish it off, but go ahead with yours.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay. So my end thought is that is maybe this was a older adventuring group that their last adventure was in a dungeon or a temple or something.
Okay,
and some slippy fingers got messed up and people died.
Okay,
and it ended the group.
Okay,
and maybe the guy who died died for a reason. And that rich guy who came back wasn't rich originally. He just got his take, that other guy, dead guy's take. And so he turned over the cornucopia as a gift to the orphanage as like I know I fucked up and this is my way to repent. Mm-hmm. But now one of the other adventurers didn't die. He's come to prove what really happened.
Oh, okay. So
and it's years later.
Okay.
He needs to know that he or she, they need to know the truth. Maybe it was a rogue who ended up rolling off of something into a trap or over a waterfall. It basically thought dead.
Yeah.
Never got their take and found the other guy's body, after it was taken. Maybe he didn't die right there.
Maybe there was a betrayal.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe it wasn't slippery fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe it
That's
was
what
a
I'm
knife
thinking.
in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay, so where I was going to go with this.
Go for it. What's your idea?
Was possibly that there is some sort of a no good organization. We'll cultists, something like that.
Sure.
Okay, so I liked where you were going with this is an artifact from an old adventuring group.
Okay. All right.
And the rich benefactor was an adventuring partner with the person that originally had this item.
Sure.
And the like you said, it's kind of a key. It follows a memory of some sort.
Sure.
So what they're looking for is the other adventurer.
Ooh.
Okay, and because the other adventurer has something of theirs, has like a powerful maybe a book of shadows or a book of secrets or something like that of this cult or something equally important to them. Okay. And he, to protect really everybody from these bad guys, took it and hid it away somewhere. And now they're just on his trail. They know they can use the cornucopia at least because it was an item that he was famous for having.
Right. And
maybe they know that where it is now. They were able to use that so that they can use that to track him down somewhere, possibly even in the Planescape. Some like maybe he's in the Shadowfell or something like that, or he's in the Feywild or something else like that. But they don't know because most divination only works on the material or on the plane that you're in.
Right.
So they need to find out, basically see what his last memories were with this particular item to see if they can get a clue for where he is.
Okay. I kind of like where this is going.
But I kind of like your idea better. So
All right. So a murder is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That there's clearly more that happened behind the scenes.
So rich benefactor betrayed...
He wasn't rich to start with.
Okay. So, well, I know the guy who is our rich benefactor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Betrayed his group.
Okay, so...
Or someone in the group.
Sure.
And ended up maybe taking the riches for himself at the end.
So because he knew
and started a new life.
Because he knew he would get the cut.
Right. And started a new life.
And then, of course, had to cover up his misdeeds. So, you do a bunch of charity, like giving away some of his old possessions to orphanages and stuff like that.
Right. And that's what brings it out. Now, you ready?
Okay.
I'm gonna throw you another one.
All right.
Maybe the orphanage didn't have it yet. Maybe he was auctioning it for the benefit of the orphanage. And that's where it got taken. Was that somebody bought it and the artifact was going to go there. But it was the fact that it brought in other investors to help pay for the orphanage. He's like, I've accrued all these items and we're going to be, giving this cornucopia to the orphanage, but you're all going to also donate for it. So this is a donation going to the orphanage as well. Because basically what they're doing is they're buying it, but in return giving it to the orphanage.
Sure.
So it's a bunch of rich people doing rich, stupid things.
Yeah.
Like they do sometimes, like, oh, I'm going to buy this painting and it will hang in the orphanage, kind of a thing. So in this case, like, that's where it was going, and that's where the hook came to get this person's attention, was that they heard that this artifact was going to be on display. And of course, not a big deal for rich people, but now this person knows that it exists and where that person, and they made a mistake by putting this out, and they've been found.
And this is this knife in the shadows moment to make his move.
Correct.
To make their move.
Now the question is maybe they're not an assassin. Maybe they're a...
Oh, I don't think they're an assassin at all.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about an old adventuring party, right? I mean, it was probably just the group's rogue.
Well...
I mean, not necessarily an assassin.
Well, my thought is because my thought is the person knows enough that artifact is the key to finding the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're using that to find it, which means they're smart. They've got resources. So it could be a wizard.
Could be a wizard.
And again, this is the survivor.
Yeah.
This is the person who they didn't think would survive going over the edge of the waterfall or whatever was their quote-unquote demise. And they survived it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the guy who had the cornucopia was actually like the rogue or the cleric of the group.
Okay.
So my thought is that and that would explain where some of their other resources come from. Maybe some of the idiosyncrasies of the.
If it were the cleric of the group, we could kind of lean on that Count Richelieu sort of, or Cardinal Richelieu sort of tropes.
Okay.
Where like, oh, I'm a holy man. I'm upstanding. I would never do that. I'm beyond reproach.
The rich person is a cleric. Oh, I like this. I like this. I couldn't, and his whole thought is he couldn't save them. He wasn't powerful enough to save them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was all out of everything. But the truth is that he wasn't.
No, and he knocked him off.
Right.
Yeah.
In the end, it was about money.
And okay, so what's the wizard's part in all this? I mean, so I think that's the other thing we need to define is what does our antagonist? I almost don't want to call him a villain because he sounds justified at this point.
I would say he's an antagonist.
Yeah.
So our antagonist's motivation is maybe they're lawful. Maybe they want to know the truth so that justice can be brought down. And so he did one misdeed by stealing this, and that's breaking his mind.
Yeah.
But he needs it to find the truth. That it was already stolen. It wasn't his to keep or sell.
Right. So what the outcome he wants is justice.
Oh, the other inconsistency. He's the one who bought it at the auction. So he paid for it. He stole his own thing. He never stole it. He's lawful. I got our NPC. Damn it, I thought we weren't going to do this. Shit. Okay, so
Good job, Rob.
So he's a lawful character. We don't know, right, of some kind. So what they're going to find is that what they're seeking is this individual, this mysterious person, and the trail leads to where? That's the key. Like, is he hiding nearby? Did he make a keep or a castle? Like, he took it over his home? Do we have a Count of Monte Cristo going on where he's masquerading as someone else? Or they're masquerading as someone else?
So I kind of like the idea of him being nested in with the Thieves Guild.
All right. Maybe he's not a thief, though.
No, he's not a thief. No, he's not a thief at all. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Okay.
And so as a rich and shady guy, he's going to be a target for the Thieves Guild. And he dances around in all sorts of high society sort of stuff. So they know the ins and outs of that sort of stuff. And a lot of them may, in fact, be orphans from one and same orphanage.
Ooh, so he's weighing that. He's using that as an advantage against the other guy.
Yeah.
All right. So player A, rich guy. Player B, antagonist. So player B is using the Thieves Guild. So the direction leads them to the Thieves Guild.
Yes.
Okay. So 5 would be the find.
Right.
Is the thief who stole it.
Okay.
So So find the thief who stole it. Okay. The take, which is 6.
Knox says, if I were a rich person, I'd constantly be letting the Thieves Guild know what other stuff my rich friends have.
Oh, I'm sure that's a thing. So the take, the price, is that it wasn't the thieves didn't steal anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're a thieves guild, but we didn't steal anything. We returned it to the owner already.
Paying the price, yeah.
So they're going to find out that this wasn't a theft. That the owner has it.
And that kind of upends their entire motivation up to this point.
Correct.
That's a nice big plot twist that kind of rips the rug out from under them.
Right.
So the price they pay is not necessarily in blood or in coin, but more in knowledge and perspective.
Mm-hmm. So not stolen, returned. And you could throw in all the other pieces about the thieves. Like, we worked at that. Like, we lived there. That's Mama Gray raised us.
Right.
Why would we steal from her?
Right. And I mean, I know she was injured, but it was an unfortunate circumstance, and we didn't kill her.
Yeah. We've doubled down on, like, you could even have the cleric who took care of her come out from at that point who works at the Thieves Guild.
Right.
Like, we sent our best over there to take care of her.
Yes.
Someone she would trust.
Yes.
She'll survive just fine. And they're all so now you're like, I just broke in and busted in the Thieves Guild's heads, to find out that they didn't steal anything. They returned
find out
it.
they're actually decent people who are looking out for orphans.
Right.
this
Yeah.
whole
I mean,
time.
granted, they're thieves, but at the same regard,
Right.
they did the one lawful thing they did was returning it to the owner.
Yeah.
The guy, so where is it now? The guy who bought it. What? This guy. And so now the return is the returning back to where they started to go talk to that person.
Okay, so wait, hold on. Just real quick, just because I think I know the answer to this question.
Sure.
But why would our antagonist have the Thieves Guild steal something he already purchased?
Because again, he can't tie it to himself.
Plausible deniability.
Correct. He needs time.
It can disappear.
Right.
And he's
right.
He can wash his hands of it.
Right, because he also knows it'll bring out the truth of the other person.
Right.
Because they know something's tied to that.
Because now they're like, oh crap.
Yep.
It's out there and it's not secure where I know where it is.
Exactly.
Okay, so he orchestrates the whole theft basically just to put the other guy on edge.
Right, and to find the truth.
Yeah.
And now he's got this object.
I mean, he still needs it, and he still needs it for
right,
the
and
purpose
he's going somewhere.
But he also kind of wants to watch his ex-companion squirm.
Right. And so the return is they return to go find this guy, and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a trail leading right where he left, because again, why would he hide where he's going? He's going to the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
So he returns to wherever that was, which probably isn't that far.
Okay.
Maybe it's a day travel. The distance doesn't matter, right? So the party knows where this guy's going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is going to go confront him and like, why did you steal this?
So where is this place? Some sort of old dungeon?
Maybe a temple, like an old temple or a dungeon, something with limited traps. But at a time, it was dangerous.
You know what would be cool, actually? A cool setting,
right.
I think, would be an old dungeon,
Sure.
but, like, cleared out.
That's what I'm saying. It's done. Like they made it to the end.
You can, like, through 3 floors, you can almost track their progress. Like, you can see there's still a piton. Yeah, thank you.
And ropes.
Jammed under a pressure plate. Or,
you can
things
see
like
where
that. Like,
torches that were set. And where blast marks are from spells.
Obvious scorch mark on the wall with a silhouette of a goblin still.
A leftover shield that was damaged beyond all repair. Parts of armor.
A door with 3 arrows still stuck in it.
Yeah. The bones of several goblins. Things like that are around the area. I like that. So the return is not only back to town, but to find this guy. To find
the scene of the crime. The old dungeon.
Scene of crime, which then leads to the change, which is 8, which my thought is you've got a couple angles here. Did they go and tell person A? If they did, maybe he shows up unannounced. Like when they go to confront this person, person B, the antagonist, who's just like, who's there reading the object to see what happened. Maybe he's got like a diviner there with him.
Yeah.
And they're trying to pull back up what happened.
Said maybe he's a wizard. Maybe that's his specialty.
That's what I'm saying.
Divination.
Yeah, you could paint it a couple different ways.
Sure.
It all depends on how you want to make that character. But either way, they're doing divination right there, a ritual. And the players will come in thinking, oh God, he's doing something horrible, and maybe they recognize the ritual and they're like, wait, what's going on here? You're just doing divination?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And it's like, and you could, if they did tell the bad guy, person A, the rich guy, maybe he shows up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a retinue of people
because he sees this as his chance to erase that from the history books and destroy all the evidence.
Right. And or maybe they don't.
And that would be a great double cross. Like, because the guy who you think is your rich benefactor all of a sudden shows up and he's just like, I can't have any witnesses, kill them all.
Yeah.
Oh, man, and then he rolls up with some assassins. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Well, the other thing,
okay,
if he does show up and there is a fight, they go to leave, maybe it was a boat that brought them there and now their boat's sunk or gone, like it's leaving, You have a lot of options based on who they talk to, some of their backgrounds, and now there's this new established villain.
Yeah.
And a story like, what does he have? What does he know? Like, why was this place important? It was more than money. He was stopping something about this. So now there's this whole layer of corruption that they just found out about.
Yeah.
And they're back.
Yep. And they're right back to the beginning. They got a bigger mystery to chew on.
That's right. All right. That was a fantastic circle.
I think so, yeah.
Deserves a high five.
All right. And Knox, you're absolutely right. That is exactly what we're talking about with environmental storytelling.
Exactly. So just to kind of hit the circle on a good spin, just so everybody gets it. So the party, whoever it is, needs to find the cornucopia. They then they find that the details don't add up. So they have to use their own skill sets to do some investigation.
Right.
Whether it's strong arming, socializing, straight up investigation, whatever it may be. They find out that they find the thieves guild was the one who stole it.
Right.
Maybe even the specific thief.
Right.
They get enough information on that, maybe through divining or whatever. They go to confront them and get the item back, only to find out they never stole it. They actually retrieved it.
Okay, so
they don't consider it stealing it because it's weird for them.
Here's a couple complications, though.
Sure.
Okay,
and this is why we're doing the circle.
Yeah. So if we're no. It's less circle and less and more no plan, no story survives contact with your PCs.
100%.
All right. So what we got to look for now that we've kind of got what we want our arc to look like.
Sure.
Is we've got to take a look at where the PCs can derail it. And I think that's our first point right now. Like, I think you can definitely get a group to bite on, Rich Noble hires you to go find out what happened to this artifact that was stolen from an orphanage.
Sure.
Okay. They can do the investigation. You can, in any variety of ways, lead them to finding out that it was the Thieves Guild.
Okay.
So, what happens if they go in and they just murder all the thieves?
There's plenty of information.
They're
not going to search for the cornucopia because it's not going to be there. When they find the contract with the individual, they find missives, letters going back and forth.
Okay.
And maybe not everyone dies.
Okay.
Because, again, unless they coup de grace every single body, there's always someone to say something.
That's fair.
And they could leave an opening.
And maybe not all the thieves were there at the time.
You ready? And they could leave an opening to go back to the old lady at the orphanage. So, like, one of the persons who died, as their dying wish, basically looks at them and says, "Tell her I'm sorry. I was never a better person." And so now they're like, "What? Why would he?" And now they can go back to her. And she could be like,
"Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was little Tony. He was one of my," and then she could literally just go through all of them. Like, these were my children. Like, I've taken care of all of these. Why would these boys do anything wrong? Like, Tony used to take care of me. He was my cleric. Like, he personally took care of the children here daily. Like, he was no thief.
Yeah.
And so now you've got this much broader story. Plus, you have all these missives that go to this other individual, this questionable person, leading them to their chateau.
Okay. So you still end up with that. It's that sort of information.
Yep, regardless of how it happens.
Excellent. All right. So we then have that. Now where are we going in the story from here?
Okay, so we the thieves stole it.
Right.
It wasn't stolen. It was returned or taken by the
Right.
by the
Okay,
benefactor.
so this is
they
where
consider it stolen.
Right.
The thieves consider it stolen, but really it's not.
Okay, so this is where our diviner wizard shows up.
Correct. This is where person B comes into play.
Okay.
Is that it went to person B. The players, through their own discovery, know that person B is the person who paid for it.
Right.
So why would he have it stolen?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was to uncover something.
Okay.
Or to not go directly into their hands.
Okay.
Maybe they couldn't be there to take ownership of it personally. Like maybe the guy was waiting to see who bought it because he was expecting to be the one to buy it. Mm-hmm. And now there's this shadowy individual and then it gets taken. So either way, so this is where B, he's not there.
Okay.
So they follow the clues to where he is. This ritualistic spot.
Okay. Well, wait. So person B is not going to reveal himself at the Thieves Guild.
His identity is going to be revealed as the person who purchased it. When they go to the house, they're going to discover, or chateau or whatever it is,
okay,
that this person isn't what they seem to be either.
Okay. All right. So
it leads them on this extended adventure.
Okay, so how are they going to find out from there to go to the old dungeon?
Again, investigation by any number of skill means.
Okay.
Either they investigate the house, or they find someone who knows of the port. Maybe they have some contacts. Any number of things. Again, we're kind of reusing that. Let the characters do discovery and investigation.
Sure.
This whole time, now keep in mind, this whole time we can have effects pushing against them.
Mm-hmm.
Other things that add to the suspense. That's a feeling. So we're going to get to that.
Okay.
But I would say, again, they do a little discovery by whatever skill sets they have means to, whether it be interrogation or hearsay or insight, whatever it is.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. You drop information however you need to.
They get that this person is going here and a ritual is going to occur.
Right. Okay.
So now there's a concern.
Okay.
Why is there a ritual going to be happening at this old site?
Mm-hmm.
Which they may have even gotten really good to find out that it was a site that this other guy had gone to.
Right.
There's some history there. There's some lore. So now that he was the lone survivor from his adventuring group that went there.
Mm-hmm.
So why? That's an interesting tie back. Again, another question.
And maybe something they could go back and ask the noble of,
which is why they may return there and say
he's taking it to this old dungeon. Why would he be going there?
At which point the guy can offer we'll take my ship.
Oh, gee,
we'll go now.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Insight check.
He is lying. Liar.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Sam. So now they leave to go there. We can have any kind of number of things that go along the way, or nothing until they get there.
Mm-hmm.
At which point they arrive, and there are some things now because they are either with him or not can change the scope of that. Whether they have his guards to assist or they don't, will change the whole progression up to the point where they find the ritual.
Okay, so here's your other break point for you,
Sure.
I think, and this is going to be whether the PCs take the benefactor's side or whether they take the wizard's side.
Correct.
Because they could just eat up all the lies that the benefactor is
100%.
and go in there guns a-blazing.
That's true.
All right, so what does our outcome look like then?
All right, so now we have, if they go in there guns a-blazing, okay, we have a couple options to, again, have the guy survive or the person B survive a little.
Okay.
At some level. Again, they could be legendary.
Sure.
They could have all kinds of crazy abilities.
Sure.
They could also monologue through the whole damn fight.
See, I like that option because I don't
And they can still be a jerk 100% through it, but everything that they're saying is true.
Yes.
And 100% legitimate.
So I think that the solution I would use here is if they do go in guns a-blazing, you spend the first 3 rounds of combat monologuing, and you turtle him. You use any defensive
there you
ability.
had to you throw that in here, didn't you? Damn it, Knox.
Darn it, I walked right into it.
into
He played me like a damn fiddle.
All right, so he defends himself to try and continue the ritual.
Defends himself to try to explain himself and or continue the ritual.
I would say it's important to finish the ritual, and we could even set that as like a doom clock timer.
Yeah.
That there's only so many steps left.
Yeah.
Like you could start it right from the beginning.
You see maybe 6 runes as they're lighting up around
Sure.
him. And it's a visual cue that, like, once that last rune, there's an implication that once the last rune is lit,
right,
it will be complete.
Yep.
And one lights up every turn, something like that. We could do that. But that's beyond the scope of
We're getting
talking about
specific.
here.
We're getting specific.
But I would say, if they do go in guns a-blazing, that's when you have the benefactor show up with his gang squad.
Yeah.
And just say, oh, good, you're already doing my work, but of course I can't have any, now that you've softened each other up a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't have any witnesses. Kill them all.
Yeah. And then he just walks away.
Yep.
And at which point now you have to deal with the guards.
Uh-huh.
And you have to find this guy. And by the time they get, they're going to survive it at some level. Whether the other guy survives or not, completely luck of the dice.
Yep.
And he can give up the information, or the ritual can end, or they can finish the ritual.
But it at least positions the benefactor as someone who's betrayed them and someone who does betrayal.
Yep.
Which is kind of his
At which
shtick
point
now.
they return to go back. They look to see the ship, and maybe at the distance that they're at, they see it sailing away.
Yep.
And now they're stuck on an island, with information about this guy. Mm-hmm. You like it?
Put it in the books. Print it.
All right.
I love it.
All right.
I love it. All right.
We did that in 40 minutes.
They're celebrating in the live chat.
I think that was a fantastic.
Not because we wrote a story, but because I said turtle.
You did. All this crap for doing that, and all we get is the turtle. You know what? We're going to questions. Screw this stuff.
That is it.
We got 15 minutes for questions.
All right.
All right. First off, for those in the live chat, did you guys get the whole gist of that story? And let us know what you think tomorrow or even later tonight in the Discord. I feel like it was really well done. I think that worked out well.
So.
And if you feel that the story circle helped kind of bring it around and help us keep the key points, you can feel free to use that. But we'd love to hear from you, Sam, eventually on how you feel the whole step went through and the whole process. So, but we'll always take that. But let's hit some questions, because we missed some questions last week. We got a stack more to go through.
Oh God, yeah, and then we got some more on top of it.
Yep.
So
all right. Here's let's hit veteran, because we missed that question last week, and I'd love to get back to that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you handle players when they go not just off the plot threads you're running, but off the map literally and figuratively? We keep hearing about treasures of distant lands and forbidden jungles. We're at a port town. Why not just leave?
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah.
Like
I think when you have very large scale plots, you're gonna have side missions. You're gonna have side stories that are gonna go off. And honestly, I don't see a problem with it in those kind of scales.
I don't see a problem with it. I think if you do have a meta plot going on, if you've got like a bigger plot, especially if it has more of a global scale, the question you start asking yourself is, okay, you guys are going to go find, treasures of distant lands in forbidden jungles. Can I tie that into the plot in any way? If you guys are fighting an evil cult or something like that, and you decide, you know what, screw this cult, we're going to go over there. Does that cult have, origins or maybe ties to that jungle? Mm-hmm. Would you maybe find, temples to that god in the darkest parts of that, that place?
The other thing that I like to find in these things is, run something fluffy. Sure. Like, have it be something fun. Mm-hmm. But enforce maybe character background.
Yeah.
Tie a background into it.
Sure.
Make it meaningful for at least one of the characters if you've got something background related, so that it's not outside of the scope of the story per se. But maybe it wraps up or gives another step in their background. 7th Sea is really good about doing that kind of thing, where players can actually say, I want to explore this part of my background in this episode. And at that point, sure, it shows up. Your background will show up in this episode, and you will have to deal with it at some level.
Yep.
You watch movies like Three Musketeers, and histories step into it.
Uh-huh.
You've got Athos, who has his histories come into it. Aramis is whose histories come into it. And you can see their backgrounds step into what the real plot is and get tied directly into it, even though they're going hither and yon.
Right.
And I think that's part of those kind of stories. And I'm talking about the Disney Three Musketeers, not the other one.
Yeah. The important backstory, we find out that scarf was given to him by the Queen of America.
I know.
Exactly.
And that he's a wonderful storyteller. And we also find out that the key assassin was married to him And she lived. Yeah. Well, briefly. Spoilers. So I say go with it. Just be prepared on larger scales to do that. On the other hand, like we talked about last week, there's no reason why that boat that was going to go out of the hidden jungle doesn't get deported to Cathay, was it?
Yeah, something like that, right.
So you can always bring it back around. Pick another one. Let's do this.
All right, we'll just go right down the list. Knox in the box. Even though you don't deserve one for tricking me into saying turtle.
Dumb.
As far as archetypes go, do you have a favorite cliche-breaking character?
Ooh.
Oh, I have to think about this one.
Yeah.
As far as archetypes go, do you have a favorite cliche-breaking character? Like, you're talking like PCs we've played in the past, or like NPCs we've put in?
I would say PCs. And I'm going to say I had a character who was I had a vampire character who was God, now I can't think of it, the crazy ones.
Malkavian?
Malkavian.
Yeah.
Who believed he was an angel. And that was his neurosis. He thought he was an angel. He'd actually duck through doorways because his wings were too large.
Oh, geez.
But only he could see himself that way. Mm-hmm. But he treated himself godlike and angelic and was holy and was an avenger of darkness and 100% played the trope the whole time through.
Yep.
Didn't drink blood. Drank other things and ate food, you know? He was crazy. But that was my cliche-breaking character was I made a vampire into an angel.
I don't know. Most of my characters are cliches, honestly.
It's easy.
I've got a character coming up in Sean's Dragon Heist game, Waterdeep Dragon Heist game. And she's a tiefling paladin named Lucent.
Yeah, you were telling me about that one. Yeah,
and she grew up in the temple of the sun god Amonitor, and so tieflings, they're supposed to have all this like infernal blood in them, and typically portrayed as maybe a little more mischievous, a little more willing to bend the rules, a little more chaotic, and possibly a little more evil. But Lucent is lawful good and utterly terrified of the idea of doing anything wrong, like doesn't swear, anything like that. Like will just, because they basically told her that if you give into your evil nature, you'll slip and you'll become demonic.
I think it's perfect.
And so she's terrified of it now. She's almost like a germaphobe, only she's an evil phobe. Like
I like that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's shift to somebody else because we've got. We're running time here.
Okay.
Let's do tech knowledge. Thank you. When writing a plot, designing worlds, etc., have you ever found something of your own creation that made you uncomfortable that you had created it, and how did you reconcile?
Oof. No. Dead serious. No, I'm not. I don't think I've ever been uncomfortable with anything I've written. Mostly because I don't know. I think we've talked about this before. My storytelling styles tends to be pretty level and vanilla. Mm-hmm. I tend to lean far more into theatrics than I do into deep psychoses and stuff like that. I think probably the bandit NPCs that I've written for my current campaign have come the closest to kind of frightening me with the depths that they'll go to. Mm-hmm. But I'm still okay with them.
I think I've always retracted myself before running it. Mm-hmm. Like I've written things and then I've been like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I've written slavery I've written abuse, I've written all kinds of stuff into story notes.
Yeah.
But when it comes to actually displaying it or talking about it or using it in a game, I've always pulled back from it.
Yeah.
I've graced the edge of things, but I've always felt that it was necessary when I did it. Or I've talked through it with people. And been like, like we had a discussion when I was doing like, what about this? And you were like, why is that even necessary? Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's a solid point. I'd written it in there because I thought it might be necessary, but now that I look at it, it's not. Mm-hmm. And would walk away. And I think that's the key is knowing your players and knowing when to pull back.
Yeah.
But some of it is exploration. And I think that early on, I made a lot of mistakes, like cheesy kind of dumb thing mistakes.
Sure.
But I don't think I've ever had to really reconcile things other than to say, I'm sorry that sucked.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I've gone. So.
Yeah, it's about as far as I've gone. I think that the only thing I've ever really had to reconcile is just telling myself like, yeah, these are horrible things, but horrible villains do horrible things, and that's what makes them villains. And sometimes those horrible things are needed to show that you as the hero stand that much brighter next to that shadowy darkness.
Right. It's
what you're doing is necessary in this adventure because that villain needs to be conquered.
Right. And if you've got players who want to be in I'll say it, murder hobo game, you have to give them reasons why in some cases that what they're doing is justified.
Yep.
So,
yep.
All right, grab another one.
All right, we're going to write down the list here.
Sure.
Overwatch. Campaigns have different feels. Street-level heist story, a cinematic action adventure, a political tale with intrigue and pageantry, gritty post-apocalyptic survival, etc. Systems, setting, story, and players can all affect that. What are some good ways of establishing and keeping the quote-unquote feel of a campaign that you are going for?
Notes. Basically, every time you move through, like we did tonight in the circle, is we kept coming back to the word mystery and suspense. We would say those words over and over again.
Yes.
So I think one of the best things you can do is if you want to keep a story in a certain theme or a style or a feeling, is you bold those words at the top of the page of whatever you're working on.
Yep.
And you constantly use those words whenever you're stepping into something.
They are your lighthouse. Every time you want to make a decision, you look at those words and you say, how is this decision serving those words?
I mean, sometimes you're going to go a little bit away from it.
Sure.
You're not going to have every moment be suspenseful.
Sure.
But you might have a moment still be mysterious. There might be still a little bit of intrigue that steps into that. So things like we were talking about when you're working on a campaign and you're coming up with the type of story you want to tell, whether it be adventure or mystery or intrigue, and then what the mood of that is, that's where I think you want to kind of step around that. And like Overwatch was saying, the campaigns have different feel. And I think that feel is important to make sure you write it down.
Right.
I mean, if you want to stick to a street level heist, you want it to feel close. You want it to be on the streets and
you want
with
it to
a
feel
beat
gritty.
feel.
You want it to kind of have a personal feel to it.
Yeah. Whereas if you're doing something cinematic, use the word cinematic in it. Make sure your descriptions are large and panoramic kind of things.
Right. Paint pictures, paint landscapes with your words.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's hit one more.
All right. So Draven asks, is there a particular story you'd like to tell or a theme that you'd like to explore, but never have because of some reason you haven't been able to quote unquote pull it together?
So many. I have so many notes on so many different designs. Everything from space operas to like stuff for Shadowrun. I've wanted to do Shadowrun's kind of stuff in D&D. I've had a lot of intrigue. I mean, I come up with ideas like we did tonight all the time. I'll listen to something, I'll hear music, and it'll trigger something in my mind, and I'll immediately start into a story, and I'll make some notes. And I'll just leave it on a page, and that page will literally sit there for years. And I may never get back to it.
Yeah.
Because either I'm running something, or I'm in something, or I don't have the time to think about it.
Just Google Docs full of half-sketched ideas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Notepads full of stuff. It happens all the time. So yeah, I'm with you, Draven. There's all kinds. We could do a whole episode on lost plots.
Oh God, yeah. I think ever since Sean started mentioning Spelljammer.
Oh yeah, there you go.
On probably a once a week, I've had a handful of ideas for that. I've had ideas for Urban Shadows. We were talking about.
Yeah,
I've got
we got
8
deep into
character
that.
concepts for that, just rolling in the back of my head, and 3 stories. So.
Yep. All right. Well, we're wrapping up here. Our next week's show is going to be about taking the random out of random encounters. This is something we keep pushing to the horizon. I'm going to make Sarah get into
forever.
this. So I think we should get into this. Can you roll us some outro here? Caitlin. Thank you.
You can find us online at on Twitter at @ST_conclave. Instagram, @ST_conclave as well. I like to post up there some of the miniatures and train stuff like that I've been working on recently. So give us a check out there if you want to see some of my nerdiness. You can also find us on Discord. The link is in our Twitter pretty frequently, and you can also find it in the episode description on your favorite podcast listening software.
You can also find us on Patreon. We would love to have you guys join us if you're just listening for the first time or you're joined into our Discord. Any help that you can give us, you can join us in live chat once you become a member, and you get some additional perks, like Knox and Sam have gotten, and we thank them ever so much for joining us on this. Our intro music is Beyond the Warriors by Guy Frog. You can find that at guyfrogmusic.weebly.com. And our outro is Only Footprints in the Sand by Midair Machine. You can find that at soundcloud.com/midairmachine/tracks.
We record every week at Podcast Detroit. You can find them online at podcastdetroit.com, on Twitter at Podcast Detroit. And our engineer is Caitlin. Thank you so much, not only for handling our engineering, but also the emergency pens and paper.
Yes. We'd like to thank our families. Vicky, Sean, thank you for letting us do this as we have for the last 39 episodes and hopefully another 40 on top of that. And all of our friends who make our games wonderful. And you, our listeners.
We love you.